My mom demanded I give up my home for my pregnant sister because she needs it more. I thought things would settle down once Amy and her boyfriend moved into their new apartment. I hoped my mom would come around and we'd be able to put this behind us. But instead, the tension in the family only deepened. Every time we gathered for a family event, I was met with cold shoulders and passive-aggressive comments. During Thanksgiving, my mom went out of her way to make me feel unwelcome in my own family. She set up a kids' table and insisted I sit there, even though I was well into my 30s. I laughed it off at first, but when the meal started, it was clear I was being shunned. Conversations went on without me, and when I tried to chime in, my mom would cut me off or change the subject. It was like I was invisible. But the real kicker came when my mom made a toast. Raising her glass, she went on about the importance of family, unity, and being there for each other in times of need. Her eyes flicked to me when she said, "Some people forget that family means sacrifice." Everyone knew who she was talking about, and the room went silent. I felt a mix of anger and sadness. Was this how things were going to be from now on? Was I really the villain here, just because I refused to hand over my house? I pushed my chair back and stood up. "Excuse me," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "I think it's time I left." As I walked out, I heard whispers and saw the disapproving glances. But I didn't care. I wasn't going to sit there and let myself be disrespected any longer. The next few months were tough. I distanced myself from my family, focusing on my job and spending time with friends who actually appreciated my company. The silence from my family was deafening. Birthdays went by without a call, and Christmas came and went without an invitation. It was clear they had chosen sides, and I was the odd one out. Then, out of the blue, Amy reached out. She called me one evening, her voice timid and unsure. "Hey, can we talk?" she asked. I hesitated. A part of me wanted to hang up, to avoid the drama altogether, but another part of me wanted to hear her out. "Sure," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "What's up?" "I just wanted to apologize," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't realize how much pressure Mom was putting on you. I was so caught up in my own problems that I didn't see what it was doing to you." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Amy, it wasn't fair what you and Mom asked of me. I understand you were in a tough spot, but asking me to give up my house, that was crossing a line." "I know," she said quietly. "I see that now, and I'm sorry. I wanted to make things easier for the baby, but that doesn't excuse what I did." We talked for a long time that night. She explained how she had been struggling, not just financially but emotionally as well. She felt like she was drowning, and our mom had convinced her that taking my house was the only lifeline. But now, with some distance, she realized how wrong it was to ask that of me. After our conversation, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Amy and I started rebuilding our relationship, slowly but surely. She visited me with her baby in tow, and I found myself becoming the uncle I had wanted to be. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. My mom, however, was a different story. She held on to her grudge with a tenacity that I didn't understand. Even after Amy and I made amends, my mom refused to let go of her resentment. Every time I saw her, she would make snide comments or bring up the house situation as if trying to reopen old wounds. It reached a breaking point during a family gathering. My mom was going on about how some people only think about themselves, clearly directing her comments at me. I couldn't take it anymore. "Enough, Mom," I said, my voice firm. "We've been through this already. I'm done feeling guilty for making a decision that was right for me. Amy and I have moved on." Why can't you? She stared at me, stunned. It was as if she couldn't comprehend the idea that I would stand up to her. You just don't understand family values, she muttered, shaking her head. No, I replied calmly. I do. I value my family a lot. But that doesn't mean letting them walk all over me. I deserve respect, too. There was a heavy silence in the room. My dad, who had been quiet through all this, finally spoke up. He's right, he said quietly. It's time to move on. For the first time in months, my mom seemed to deflate. She looked around the room, at my dad, Amy, and then at me. Finally, she nodded, though she didn't say anything. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest I was going to get. In the end, I learned that standing up for myself didn't mean I loved my family any less. It meant I was setting boundaries, something I should have done a long time ago. Amy and I became closer than ever, and even though things with my mom are still rocky, there's a sense of mutual understanding now. Sometimes, family means sacrifice, but it also means knowing when to stand your ground. And that's a lesson I won't forget.